Well, Mike, I think two things stuck out for me. One is that I think all of us expected, the Maverick in Chile to kind of come out, whether it was trading up for Marcus Mariota, I sound like the commissioner there, or just doing something really kind of crazy, or picking guys that we never heard of, but were all these, freakish athletes type nature type deal. And really, he wasn't. I mean, if there was anything stunning about Chip Kelly's draft, it was the lack of anything really stunning. The first two picks, I think a lot of people had earmarked those guys to the Eagles if they could get them. So there were no surprises there. And the second thing I'd say is that I think that Chip is clearly more concerned with the quality of pick than the quantity of pick. I mean, he let 107 selections go by before his third-round pick of Jordan Hicks, and then his sixth-round pick of Corey Shepard. So that is something Howie Roseman never would have done in his lifetime. Howie would get jittery if he went around without a pick. I mean, you'd have to, strap him to a chair. He'd be nervous about it. And Chip just practically took day 3 off. So I thought that was really interesting. I think it says a lot about his draft board and how particular it is that he would let 107 guys go by without game.
So we went with 5 guys on defense, 1 guy on offense, a total of 6 draft picks. They had said we have 8, we'd like to make 8. They did make the trade to move up around next year, and then they traded 2 5s and got a 6 this year for the total of 6 guys. That's why they didn't have a 4th or a 5th rounder. So the 2 trades they made, 1 to move up and 1 to get a pick next year, how did Kelly do in his first trades of the draft?
I'm going to say that he needed to move up to Garrett Rowe because a lot of people, at least in the scouting community or the analyst community, felt that Rowe was a top 50, 55 pick. I have heard some people aren't in love with the kid and had him graded in the 3rd round or lower. With D-backs, it's always a buffet type thing. It's like, what do you like? Do you like the tall, thin guys? Do you like the short guys, like the Jason Verrett? Do you like the stronger guys who can play cornerback and safety? So I'm not gonna go too crazy over the fact that he traded up to get him, because I think that he probably felt he had to. There are probably enough teams out there that like the long physical press corners who may not have the greatest speed, turnaround speed in the world. He has a good straight line speed, but doesn't have great turnaround and cover speed. So we'll see. But I mean, obviously, going wide receiver, going cornerback/safety in the first round made so much of this team. And getting 2 corners late. Now, I've heard the Corey Shepard kid is better than a pick. People like him. People consider that a sleeper. So if that's the case, that's a good feather in Chip's cap. But I mean, for your first draft, to build a team and to only make 6 selections and then to go that middle of that round and not make a pick and not get an offensive lineman, I think it might hurt him coming up this season. We'll see.
Are you convinced? He mentioned Boykin, Mathis, Kendricks, all these names that keep getting thrown out there. Are you convinced that they will be here now?
No, not at all. I mean, maybe some of them, maybe 1 or 2 of them. I just don't see. I don't see them coming back because I don't see the roles now for a lot of them. Michael Kendricks is too good to have as just a spare linebacker, and he's clearly not going to start. He's not going to start over Kiko Alonso, and he's not going to start over D'Amico Ryans, and he's not moving to outside linebacker. So you're going to have him as a really good nickel linebacker? I suppose you could, but something tells me that when training camp comes around and guys suffer injuries or teams realize what they need and something needs an inside linebacker, there'll be a phone call placed to the Eagles, and it wouldn't shock me if then a trade is consummated. And the same thing with Boykin. I mean, if you're going to start Eric Rowe at corner or play him at corner, even if you play Eric Rowe at corner in the nickel only, you're going to bring him in outside, and then you can move your Walter Thurman into the slot. So I don't know what the role is for Brandon Boykin if Walter Thurman's going to move into the slot. And again, that's a guy who has value. So I do feel like a team eventually is going to call up and give them something worthwhile, and maybe probably in training camp, right around Final Cut Day, you might be able to get something for him. Evan Mathis, I still think can be back, but I think he can, but I don't see it, only because Chip sounded almost defiant the other day, saying that, listen, nobody's tried to trade for you. Get with the program, dude. And it doesn't look like Chip has a lot of tolerance for counterculture guys. He wants buy-in guys, and Evan Mathis right now isn't striking me as a buy-in guy. I could be wrong, but we'll see.
What are your thoughts on Aguilar? Is he a guy that you think makes an impact right away? I mean, Matthews last year, 67 catches, 872, 8 touchdowns. I mean, that was a pretty good year.
Right.
You know, in exclusively out of the slot. Is Aguilar going to be more productive than that?
You know, I think he has the opportunity to, Mike, and just based on mathematics, if Jordan Matthews could be that successful playing, I think he played 65% of the snaps last year. Well, Nelson Aguilar, there's really no reason, as long as he's good, not to play more than 65% of the snaps, because he can play outside and inside. So he can either take Jeremy Macklin's spot, or if Josh Huff moves outside, Lord knows that Nelson Aguilar could probably take Riley Cooper's spot, as long as Nelson Aguilar can block pretty well and make all the catches he needs to make, and then factor in the fact that he'll probably return some punts too. So I have a feeling you're going to see him on the field more, as long as he's good and lives up to his reputation, than you saw Jordan Matthews on the field last year. So to me, he's got every opportunity in the world to make equal, if not more, production.
Geoff, obviously the Hicks pick, a lot of people are scratching their heads. You just mentioned that Kendricks is too good to be a spare guy. Now you add another guy who's a third-rounder. What is the plan for a guy like him? Is this just, hey, he's a project 2 years down the road, we need him, or do they want him on the field now? Third-round pick, typically, you want to see some action from.
Yes, well, this is where we're going to – this is a great case study for the In Chip We Trust crowd, because you're not going to find a lot of people who say a lot of great things about Jordan Hicks as far as picking him in the third round. I mean, I talked to a scout I trust today who's a pretty high-ranking scout in the AFC, and he doesn't like him at all. He thinks he's just a guy. Chip went out of his way to say he was the highest-rated guy on the board by far at that point, and he really raved about him. So we're going to see if Chip's got a little bit better of an eye on a guy like this than other teams do. I think this does play into the Kendrick situation. I think Chip's got a chance here over the rookie camps, the mini camps, to really see if Hicks can acclimate, learn the playbook, and then training camp to see if this kid is good enough to be your third inside linebacker behind D'Amico and Kiko, who obviously are both coming off injuries. And if they feel like he can, and then, remember, they did add Brad Jones. They've got some much more depth now at that position than they had at the end of last year, then it would intensify the idea to me that Kendricks is eminently tradable.
All right, Geoff Mosher, CSNPhilly.com, Eagles insider here with the Eagles draft in the books. We'll see how it all shapes out. They will have rookie stuff on Thursday and then the OTAs for the veterans later on. And Geoff, of course, will be there for CSNPhilly.com. Geoff, take care, pal.
All right, Mike, thanks.